What's blue and white and racist all over? Why, it's the only democracy in the Middle East. Or maybe it's not a democracy after all. According to a recent report, Israel ranks among the top 20 most religiously restrictive countries in the world, with almost as many religious restrictions as Iran. How's that for democracy? It also has the 5th highest level of social hostilities related to religious norms. And it has the 6th highest level of interreligious tension and violence, a worse score than Syria, where a sectarian civil war ravaged the country for 8 years. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Israel's state ideology is founded on discrimination. There are 50 laws on the books that explicitly discriminate against non-Jewish citizens of Israel. That's not even to mention the 5 million Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza who live under brutal Israeli military control for the crime of not being Jewish. They have 0 civil rights. When elections take place in Israel, these people are excluded from voting for the government that controls all aspects of their lives. In the West Bank, they're walled off by separation barriers and are forced to drive on separate roads. In some areas, they're forced to walk on separate sides of the sidewalk. There's a word for that. What's it called? What's it called when you have different laws for people based on their identity? Like, you know, when you keep them separated or apart?
Apartheid, segregation, an apartheid system.
And Gaza is an open-air cage, where nearly 2 million people are under air, land, and sea blockade, again for being the wrong religion. And then there's the fact that a Jew from anywhere in the world with 0 connection to the land can get Israeli citizenship, while millions of Palestinian refugees and their descendants who were kicked out of their homes during Israel's creation and subsequent campaigns of ethnic cleansing are barred from their right to return, simply because they're not Jewish. When you create a Jewish state in an area of the world that's historically not majority Jewish, you're gonna have to commit extreme acts of brutality to maintain your demographic rule. Democracy just doesn't work when your MO is an ethno-religious state. It doesn't help that Israel's political class is teeming with a collection of fanatics. People like Eli Ben-Dahan, who proudly proclaimed that Palestinians are beasts and they're not human. He's also stated that a Jew always has a much higher soul than a Gentile, even if he's a homosexual. And others like Miri Regev, who recently suggested that it's God, not the people, who choose Israel's prime minister. That's the same Miri Regev who labeled non-Jewish African asylum seekers a cancer, and then proceeded to apologize to cancer survivors for comparing them to Africans. And now you've got Israel's religious courts turning to DNA tests to prove one's Jewishness. So what about the left? Oh wait, there is no left, just a bunch of secular segregationists, like former Israeli army chief Benny Gantz. In his campaign video for prime minister, he boasted about presiding over Israel's 2014 massacre of Palestinians in Gaza, which killed over 500 children. Oh, and by the way, there are actual democracies in the Middle East. Iraq and Lebanon and Tunisia and Turkey. And unlike Israel, they don't disenfranchise half the population. So let's get real. Israel isn't a democracy, and it never was.